All right, folks in cyberspace, at this time, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia, to our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Cie. We have been on a month-long series called Periscope series, and we started this series at the beginning of this month. And we started with the opposition. We were able to periscope the opposition, and we went to the government and we were able to periscope the government. So today in our test series, we will be periscoping Facebook politicians, advocates, surrogates, propagandists, and apologists of the government. Those ones that you see on Facebook going live all the time, talking politics and other issues that affect our country. We feel it is necessary for us to also periscope them. And a synonym of the word periscope for you to understand what we're talking about is to criticize, to critique. So today we will be providing an analytical critique of those you see on Facebook, talking politics, talking about government, talking about opposition. We feel that these people also need to be looked at. And so today's in the Periscope series, we will be looking at their politics, their advocacy. We'll be looking at what all that has been about. Have they been factual? Have they been biased? We will be looking at all of the, what have been their motivations and interests. These are the things that we will be discussing. And we put them into category as well. We have some who we think are extreme in their advocacy or in their talk show. We believe there are some that are somehow balanced. We believe some also are highlanders, both on the government side and also on the opposition side. So folks in cyberspace, this is the introduction of the series for today, which is series 3 of our Periscope series. My name is Anthony Cie, hosting today. And in the house, we have with us our Chief Policy Analyst, Mr. Wema Kone. Mr. Kone, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
All right, so folks, we will get started with our Periscope series. As you heard me right there, we will be looking at our talk show hosts, the folks you see on Facebook criticizing the government, some criticizing the opposition, some also promoting the government, whereas some are also promoting the opposition, and some are also promoting things that they care about. We feel that these people must also be looked at because they carry a lot. They share a lot of information. They are representative of our country. They are representatives of us as people, Liberian. And so we feel that it is about time to check them as well. And so as you have joined us, we will ask you to now hit the share button as we go into our program. Again, don't forget, my name is Anthony Cie, co-hosting, and this is our program, The Hour of Politics. Our analyst is seated, and so we will start. The first category is the category of highlanders. We believe that those who are Facebook talk show hosts, there are some on the opposition side, and there are also on the government side. And we think there are some of them that are highlanders, those who make the news, those of them who bring out the issues in a more passionate way, who many people listen to because of their strong stand on the issue. And we believe these people are highlanders, and we will be looking at their activities. So we will start with, on the opposition side, who are the highlanders? And for your understanding, folks in cyberspace, the categories, we created these categories so as to make this program a lot easier. We will open the phone lines, and those of you who are following and will be given an opportunity to call in, you have the right to disagree with us because you see it differently and we see it differently. So even our analysts disagree with us, and they will be able to say, oh, this person is not a highlander. I think this person is an apologist. You know, this is all of us having the opportunity to look at these individuals who for 2 years now, we've been listening to some of them, more than 2 years now, we've been listening to them on Facebook talking about politics. And so for the highlanders, on the opposition side, we have Sister Yasini Mantingpe. We believe she is an Highlander, and we believe she is opposition leaning. We say so because at some point, I know for a fact that she is with the ANC, the Alternative National Congress. She is a strong critic of the WIA administration, and we believe she is a Highlander. She has a lot of people that are following her, and so we will be looking at a lot of things. Mr. Kune, on the Highlander too, on the opposition side, we have Mr. Gabriel Zawiya. Zawiya has been on Facebook, and he has a lot of people following him, listening to him. We think he's a Highlander. Another Highlander on the opposition side is George Lobo. George Lobo is a huge critic of the government. We think he's a Highlander. And another Highlander, in our opinion, is a gentleman known as Mzee Abraham Kamara. Some time ago, there was a Facebook post where it was reported that he posted, that President Weah should be assassinated, and it turned to a huge thing. And so these are the Highlanders we think, in our opinion, on the opposition side. We'll bring in our analysts to periscope these people and provide some context. Mr. Kune.
Thank you very much. First of all, before we go to the Facebook activists, as I sometimes call them, we first of all have to recognize that Facebook is a very important tool that has emerged on the political scene. And because of its power of reaching out to so many people both in the opposition and in the government have made use of Facebook. Now, the question is, for those that are critical of the government, for me, I don't want to put like a label on them, but in view of the emerging democracy that we have now, and with this new platform, I think it is the expectation that partisans will gather in their respective corners to put forward their view. So the issue for me is not how extreme they are. What bothers me is the tone that it brings to the discussion, the kind of languages that are used, and most importantly, their carefree attitude to facts. Because you can be critical of the government, you can be critical of an entity, but it back you up more if you support your criticism with facts. And so this is where I think the real danger lies. Facebook has a tremendous reach for so many people. The audience is not only Liberians, the audience is the entire world. So I think people should be very, very careful as to what they put on Facebook, especially as it relates to the government, as it relates to the country, because I want to believe all of the people that are engaged in these criticisms, they want the best for Liberia. But you cannot want the best for Liberia if we continue to just project the worst for Liberia because of different political purposes. I'm all in favor of us exposing everything that the government is doing that is wrong, but at the same time, it should be based on facts, and the manner of presentation should also be done in a way that will inspire people to follow the story. But if it is couched in that partisan bravado and the languages, and there is this carefree attitude to the facts, I think it diminishes the whole process.
Thank you. Talking about diminishing the whole process, I like what you said, because these people, like I said earlier, they represent us as a country and as a people. And so whatever they do out there, it is not only a reflection of themselves, but it is also the reflection of us as a people. And so we want them to project their best selves so that our country image can be improved. But we gave you some names. If you don't mind, we talk about Osei Yassini, we talk about Josh Lobo, we talk about Pazawie, and we'll talk about Mzee Kamara. So these people have been in the public sphere for now, having talk show, people following them. You don't have qualm with their political alignment. Your thing is that they should be able to present information, that information that are factual to the people. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. I mean, they should present information that is factual. I think the tone of delivery is important, and I say that to say that we have to recognize the environment that we are in. We have to know and appreciate our history, and we have to take responsibility for the peace that is in the country. The preservation of that peace is for all of us. It is our collective responsibility. And there are times, sometimes when we get to these platforms, we make incendiary messages that have the potential of creating some level of chaos. And we are not saying that people should be censored in what they say, but I'm saying that for you to, if you occupy a public platform where you've given the opportunity to provide information for the country, you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very, be aware of the kind of communication that you're putting out there, because your communication could promote peace. Your communication should also promote disorder. And no matter our political disagreement, at least let all of us stipulate to the fact that we want a peaceful Liberia. It is only within the atmosphere of peace that all of these political battles, can be fought. So I don't have a problem with people in a partisan corner, because if somebody is partisan, the expectation is that they will promote the philosophy, the ideas of their party. And I will hope that some of these individuals that you list, that they will begin to propagate the philosophy of their party, while they want the Liberian people to look at their party or their political institution, to be an alternative. We cannot just say that what we have is bad, what is going on is wrong, but at the same time, we are not providing an alternative for the people. And this is where I think that this service is coming from. If you are campaigning for your institution, if you are campaigning for your political party, or if you are airing views for your organization, I believe that it is not just enough to give us criticism. Criticism are easy, very easy. But let us know, how are we going to move forward? What are the new ideas? What are the new vision? What are the new the new programs that you're bringing, so that we can be able to compare what we have now with what you're talking about? And the carefree attitude towards fact is the fact that, it's not, I don't want to put the entire blame on them, but you see, our society is a society that is also research averse. We don't conduct research on any national issue. We have very little research on many national issues. So, for example, if you talk about foreign travel, somebody will say, "Oh, the current government, is using a lot of taxpayer fund on travel." But compared to what? What is the baseline? You see, so some of the advocacy really lack education. It's not just enough to point to the travel budget of this government, but the travel budget of this government compared to what? What period are you talking about? You see, it's easier to make the accusation that, oh, there is a lot of nepotism going on in this government, but compared to what? What are the figures? I think if you take the public space, I think there should be some responsibility that you will bring very important information to the people, so that the people can be able to hear you out and make their own decisions. This is part of the awareness building we're talking about. And look, the problem we face in our country, you know, is we all have to work hard. Opposition political parties, we have to work hard to educate our people. Government, we have to work hard to educate the people. Who, how they call it? Facebook analysts, we have to work hard to educate the people. It's just not enough to keep giving people the criticism, the noise, the half-truth, the unsupported facts, the unsubstantiated allegations, you know, to push an agenda. Because in the end, what may happen and what some of us are advocating is that in the end, even if you were to succeed, you have laid the foundation for similar things to occur in the future.
Thank you.
You've laid the foundation for similar things to occur in the future. So I'm all for the partisan argument. We're going to have it in our democracy. Everybody not going to belong to the same party. Everybody not going to be in the same camp. But we have to do it with some level of civility. We have to do it with some level of facts. We have to do it with some level of good information. We have to do it with some level of creating alternative for the people so that at some point, there can be something that will inspire people to political action. That's the point I'm making.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C. Our Periscope series continues. This time, Facebook talk show hosts who are on Facebook talking politics, both on the government side and on the opposition side. We believe these people are playing a major role in the life of our country, Liberia. They talk the things that we all care about, and we think that they too need to be looked at just as they are looking at the government and other people in the opposition. We have in the house, Mr. Chuchus Jones. Mr. Jones, on the opposition side, we talk about Mistress Yasini Mantinkwe. We think she is a Highlander, meaning somebody who has a lot of following, make news, and you know, people listen to her. We have Pazawie, he makes a lot of news. He criticizes the government consistently. Josh Lomo is another person, and Unze Ibrahim Kamara. These people tell us what we want to get from you. This is a whole politics and talk show thing. Are they consistent? Do they provide factual information? You know, so tell us how you see them. How do they come across to you?
Well, thanks, Zasir. Again, thanks to the panelists, Mr. Kone. It's a pleasure to be here again once more to discuss another riveting conversation. So when you talk about Liberian talk show hosts, I think you got to put into different categories as you've done. Some of them, a few of them, I think are clearly political. They're there to promulgate their personal interest or the interest of the party. There are others who are trying to make an appeal to the general population, but they sometimes suffer in that delivery and they become either factional or contentious. So the names you just listened, you mentioned, I know a few of them. I've listened to some of the shows. I listen to everything. And what I see, especially with the first one, Sanendi, is that how you pronounce the name?
Yasini Mountain Bay.
Yasini Mountain Bay. I think she's a very intelligent woman. I think she doesn't serve her background education very well, because I would expect someone who was educated in a particular field to use the field that you school and earn a degree and pay out money to try to communicate in that light. So what am I saying? A journalist, you're going to use the journalistic style. You're going to write articles. You're going to write. If you're an engineer, you're going to, you know. So from what I understand, I mean, the shows I clearly heard that, you know, she has a master's degree or something of that sort. But from what I listen to, I really don't get any substance except for that the government is bad, and you know, but she doesn't clearly define the context of who's talking the government is bad. So it comes out very partisan. And I think that's the last thing we need in Liberia. We need to, for our educated people, to provide level head, to have analysis, to have a debate and a conversation about where you stand. Politics is not necessarily bad, and your views, no views, is bad. Okay, I think we all to school and they say, what's your idea? Just give idea, but it's how you articulate it and how it comes across. I mean, all right, I disagree with government, or I do not I'm not fond of the government because of ABC. One, the economy. I think on a poor job with the economy. I think they have bad managers. I think they didn't have a good plan. I think they haven't reached out to people who could help them. Yeah, so that's my argument. If you think argument is wrong, then give me names, then give me policies, then counter it, right? Then specifically why I'm against the government, or I'm against the government because of their actions towards somebody like the lady who was raped. Okay, I think her name was Taylor, right? So
yeah, you're talking about Justina Taylor, right?
Taylor. Okay, right. So for me, I was in between. But when that incident happened, and I didn't see the government come up, especially President Shria, to condemn it, okay, and to make perpetrators were brought to justice. That was the day for me. That was it with this government. I have sister. I have a daughter, okay, and all these people who are women, okay, we all have family. We all, no matter what some does, okay, there's certain things should be known across the board, and I don't see these people, right? So in that case, they will promulgate that because, of course, they're on the opposition side. But when you go to the talk show like the Gilman or whoever, I think we'll get to that. They're so polarized that you can barely know what they're going to say, and they don't give any substantial point. And basically, they talk like educated fools because they don't give you a clear reason. They read a lot about, they shout and rant, and they're so overly emotional, and they don't give any sound. If I was there to say, all right, I want to listen to this person, I have, give me a reason to listen to you. Give me, articulate your point and tell why I should buy your argument. So that's the problem I have with the first group of people you listed, or George Lopo with a little bit of extra. And I like George, I like George. I think he's a smart young man. I just think he caught up with the bad crowd, he caught up with the political crowd. And that crowd I've been around from, Mr. Connie's time, and it's not going to carry you in because, everything, is like who we want to or who we want, we are, and that's it. So I think if somebody like him would have come more objective, he started doing it. So let me give him some credit. He started doing it, be more analytical, and use his business knowledge. That's what he went to school for, to make his argument. I think he will captivate more people.
And you think for George, he been presenting facts, has a criticism been based on facts and numbers, in your opinion, or he just like some people who will just whatever they hear, they don't verify it and just go on Facebook and just go about with it, is it different in that respect?
With George, it's well called, I think we listened to Kelly and Conway from the White House, alternative facts, okay, where they present the facts way to make the case. Okay, there's a personal reason, there is, universal rights. You can look at something that's blue and call it black. That doesn't, is blue. So with George, the problem is that he strives so hard to make an argument against the government or to present fact, like one particular case in point. He would talk about how many schools were built, right? And how many enrollment rate between maybe 2000 early time, okay, up to 2003, that I don't know what, to 2003 to 2017. So he will talk about the increase in that, right? And you use that now as to make his case that this government is well. But then if you go back and look at from 1990 to 1991 and 1992 to 1993, and you look at the percentage, they're better because more people, everybody was out of school. And at that time, more people went to school with the help of the international community and so forth. So that's where you know that, okay, this person is not giving objective information. They're trying to spin this. Now, I'll give you one credit. The one person that I think that brings a lot of facts and information or new information is Henry Costa. You know, surprisingly, where he gets his sources from, they usually turn out to be, for instance, when he tells you the president is in UK, right? Or the president's 11,000 other shoes. You go and do a screenshot and you see the shoes. So that is more factual. Not that I'm a big fan of his, but I'm saying your talk show host or any host, right? Your key should be credibility. What you say to people, and that should matter. Not, come out with any kind of thing like that.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, I'm Anthony C. Hosting here. This is the Hour of Politics, and we are periscoping. In other words, trying to provide some analytical critique about Facebook politician, talk show hosts who carry themselves as advocates, surrogates, apologists, whatever you name it. Mr. Conan, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw light on, I think, what may be responsible for some of the extremism that we're talking about with the Facebook politicians or Facebook advocates. First of all, one of the reasons why you see all this extremism, first of all, is for attention. Individuals are seeking attention, be it in their political party where they are or in their organization. They are seeking audience. So they feel that the most provocative thing they say, it will draw people attention to them. And secondly, there is a behavior that is prevalent in Liberian politics. Whenever there is an existing government, there are people that are writing their resume for the next government. And one of the ways they write their resume for the next government is to engage in this extreme form of advocacy, so that when the government changes, so that they can say, well, we the one who are beating the drum for this. So it is for resume writing, and you find that not only with the Facebook advocates, you find it even with individuals that are in government. Some of the things you talk about, there are people that that are engaged in it because they build in the resume for the next government. We have professional transitional agents. People are called professional transitional agents in government. They transition from one government to the other. That's their job. Their whole job, you come, they are making their transitional plan to the next government. These kind of things sometimes call for the kind of measures that we're talking about. But what I'm saying is that for advocacy to be taken seriously, it has to be issue driven. That is the kind of advocacy that benefit you, that benefit me, that benefit the political process. It has to be issue driven. It cannot just be about what we see immediately right to the front of our nose, so that we should scream the loudest for us to get the most attention. And some of the people that you find in that extreme advocacy are those that have, at one point or the other, closely associated with the political leadership. And for some reason, when they were in their association, they didn't tell you and myself, that association is over now, and they coming to talk the loudest. They probably because of promises that were not fulfilled, because of certain things that were not done. And so what they were advocating for now to be good, what they were defending is now all terrible. And the unfair thing is they will be expecting you and myself to join them immediately because they're calling it terrible, so we should all call it terrible without even knowing their motivation. So these are some of the reasons that are leading to this extreme advocacy. It is for notice. It is writing a resume for the next administration because of our current assessment of things right now, and we think that by taking these extreme positions, kind of position us, position us in a strong way for whatever may come as a result of our advocacy. And that is regrettable because even though my brother yesterday are from the old school, I'm familiar with, the kind of advocacy that was issue driven. We were going in search of ideas that would make the country better.
Thank you, Mr. Conan. Thank you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. We are periscoping the Facebook talk show hosts, some of whom carry themselves as advocates, surrogates, apologists of the government. Some of them carry themselves as opposition. And we are periscoping them, meaning we are providing some analytical critique of their work. We want to know what are their politics, advocacy, and talk show all about? What are the things that they talk about? Are they using facts? What are their political alignments? We want to know what's their motivation and interest. We want to know what are their rhetorics, being toxic, balanced, or fair, or one-sided. Are they just seeking attention? How consistent have they been? We want to know that. How popular are they? Do they have some level of tolerance when it comes to criticism? Because just as they go about criticizing the government, they too need to be criticized, and want to know whether, when they too are criticized, do they take kindly to criticism? Do they make adjustment? We feel that these people carry a lot of power. There are thousands and thousands of people that listen to them, and they represent, or whether you like them or not, they are Liberians, and anything they say is a reflection of our country. It's not only themselves, but us as a people. So we believe that when they get out there, they should project nothing but the best selves so that Liberia image can be improved. And it should not just be about criticizing, criticize objectively, criticize constructively, but at the same time, offer recommendations and solutions. Are they doing that? This is Focus on Liberia, and we are going after them. And we talk about Yasini, we talk about what's his name? George Lobo. George Lobo is one man who brings energy to the debate. He brings energy to the politics on Facebook. Everybody that can judge him, we will open the phone line later on. Pazawie, a man at his age, he's always on Facebook almost every day, criticizing the government. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is he talking things that are factual? Is he doing it because he hate the government? Or is that his way of holding the government accountable? Is that his way of wanting a better Liberia? Not only Pazawie, there are many others that you know that maybe I don't know. Let's look at the man Zolizo. Zolizo too, we think, fall in a category that I will consider as extreme. Many of you saw Zolizo now being appointed as Deputy Minister for Operational and Ministry of Defense. He was on Facebook. He was defending the government toe to toe. Another person is Class D. On the pro-government side, we believe that Class D is extreme because at some point, he called for the assassination of Henry Costa, all because Henry Costa is criticizing the government, whereas he is more like an apologist or a surrogate of the government. Then we have Rosalind Verlin. She's in Switzerland. She is somebody who supports the government. She has a show she called Propostar. Some people think she's Australian, so she's in our Australian category. In their advocacy, are they fighting for a better Liberia? Are they doing all this so that they can draw the attention to them? Our analyst says some of them are doing this so that to position themselves for maybe a government job. Could the case of Zolizo be a perfect example? Why are they doing all this? Are they doing this for Liberia? Are they doing it for themselves? Let's look at some people will call extreme on the government side. On the opposition side. Prophet Key, we all know Prophet Key, or many of us know Prophet Key. Prophet Key is the guy who sometimes 1,000 people will be watching. Why? Because he's insulting his fellow Liberians, especially those who are in government, for doing the wrong thing. He will insult them. Is that a better way to communicate? By insulting them, does it change anything? Is he an advocate? Is that man an advocate for you? And many Liberians listen to him. We have T. Dede Colley. Chief Colley too is another man that brings energy. He's been consistent there. And then we have Francis Doe. Francis Doe, sometimes he will release some words that cannot be digested, but he's been consistent. Is he doing it for the love of the country, or he just wants the attention? I'll bring in Chuchu Jones. Chuchu Jones, Prophet Key, is he extreme? Is he a better representative of our country? Should he be part of the debate or the conversation?
Okay, so let me just put it this way. If Prophet Key were to say something nice about me, nobody should listen to it. okay? Because first of all, the kind of language and the kind of ignorance that he exudes on in a community doesn't reflect good on Liberian people, okay? We already have a bad reputation, okay? We already have a very high illiteracy rate. And to come on a social media and use the kind of vulgarity that he uses, he can never be someone that I have any kind of respect or the people go out to listen to him. It's just foolishness. And I know a lot of Liberians are afraid of people because of loud mouth or because, and so we'll call things are right. And his advocacy against Joshua may be correct, okay? But I'm not gonna sit here or you that you should insult somebody's mother, okay, or sit in that kind of gathering, that's just beyond any kind of realized thought. So it's even something to discuss. This thing is disgusting, and I think parents shouldn't be listening to him using those kinds of terms. And anybody can go and tell him that Alex Jones said that. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Coonan, go ahead.
The larger thing is that we all have an obligation to create an alternative for these kind of outlet. Like I said, I don't find problem with people expressing their view, but the way you express your view also define who you are and the kind of issue you speak to. Nobody need to insult anybody's mother to make a point. Nobody needs to reveal if you claim to know. If for whatever reason you claim to know the medical condition of someone, nobody with a healthy mind will go on Facebook to provide somebody medical information that they claim to know. Mm-hmm. So these kind of things are disgusting, and these things should not be promoted. So what we have to do is maybe what I do. There are certain people I don't listen to because I don't get anything from them. There is nothing of value that I will get from listening to those kind of people. Besides the insult, besides the childishness, there are certain people on the social media I don't even bother to listen to. So what we have to do, those of us that detest this kind of behavior, is to create an alternative platform that will inform the Liberian people on issues. There are many issues to criticize the government for in Liberia. Many, many issues to criticize the government on. But do you actually need to insult somebody's mother to get that message across? Do you have to reveal personal information about somebody to get that message across? It is the kind of intellectual deficit that has faced our country for the past decades. Many people are intellectually weak. Even the basic research, they can't get to it. So we can't even form the basic agreement on issue. We can't even agree that, protest is the right of all Liberians, but certain things cannot be done because you're protesting. We can't find that agreement because people are in their extreme view. People are entrenched in their position. So we can't even agree to the commonality that yes, protest is guaranteed by our constitution and people should exercise that right to protest. But it also comes with a responsibility. Nobody wants to discuss the responsibility. Everybody wants to talk about the absolutism of protest. So the discussions go on and on like that. Like I gave you the example of travel allowance and travel budget. Nobody knows what the president's travel budget is. The president used $1 million during the year. Do we know how much was used by previous leadership from year to year? We don't know that. Nobody cares. Because of the activities that are associated with the gun protest, we are celebrating the president of Sierra Leone as being a human rights hero. Have we really done an investigation as to the human rights situation in Sierra Leone? So this is the weakness. This is the intellectual weakness I'm pointing to. And the way to combat this thing is to create alternative platform that will present facts. And this is why some of us come on this show. Because yes, in as much as we may hold our own position, but we make ourselves available to be criticized. We make ourselves available for our views to be corrected. And some of us take it seriously that things that we put out there in the public domain are things that are credible. So that's how we're going to change minds. That's how we're going to make people aware. Because some of this stuff, there's nothing you can do about it. Anybody can go and say Facebook Live, this is me, this is that, this is that. I read some kind of stupidity on Facebook today say the president supposed to go address, the president has violated the Constitution instead of going to address, give a State of the Nation address as required by the Constitution on the 3rd Monday, he to the stadium watching football game. When the actual fact is that address is for the 4th Monday in January. So these are some of the points I'm making. We have an obligation to provide, education to our people, because the new social media phenomenon now, you cannot police anybody. You cannot censure anybody. But we have to do our own individual censure and take a decision as to which information we take in, who we patronize and who we don't patronize in terms of viewership, in terms of membership, in terms of exchange of views. That's how I see it.
Thank you. And Mr. Jones, on the pro-government side, we have 2 persons that have, made it to our Highlander category. One is Y. Michael Gaiman, and also Prince Sharif. We believe that these 2 individuals are Highlanders on the side of the government. These are people we have followed, and we know that they support the government, and they are Highlander. These are the ones that try to pull hole in the opposition's argument on things like corruption and the thing that the government is everything that you can want from a government. And they are the one that will blow the trumpet of maybe if the government announce that, for example, they're getting $4 million for the $40 million for the fishery. The information just came out, and they will be on Facebook trumpeting that piece of information and then using it as a yardstick to say that all is well in the government, and the opposition people are lying about the other things that they are criticizing the government about. And these people, the 2 individuals, will also go after opposition leaders. In a way, they have been doing best, and say all manner of things about them that, they can't get elected. Some of them have not even been able to get a seat in the House. And in that way, the thing that they are helping the country in their advocacy, what they do. We want to welcome Dr. Kula. Dr. Kula is an analyst on this network focused on Liberia. Dr. Kula, welcome to the Periscope series.
Thanks for having me. If I could jump right in, I would like to go ahead and give my analysis on what I've heard so far as I was in the car. In terms of the folks that you're periscoping, the reality is that a lot of these folks are partisan. It's clear there's an agenda. And I wish that we in Liberia will start doing what is done on the international stage in terms of full disclosure. Whenever you come to something, whether you're in the pharmaceutical industry, you're a physician or whatever, you have to give full disclosure in order that there might not be any conflicts of interest. For example, let's start with Yacindi Behe-Martin. Yacindi is a member of the ANC. So I hope she's telling her audience that she is an ANC partisan. And so that when she gives her view, it's a view that's coming from the place of a partisan or an opposition, and people know that, okay? If you take somebody like Michael Gilman and his, I believe it's his nephew or his cousin or his uncle, a guy by the name of Kwame Weeks. Kwame Weeks is now the head of LINA, Liberia News Agency. He and Michael Gilman together developed that Jita Hard Talk. Okay, so when you see Michael Gilman getting all of the government officials on his platform, and he's preaching from a position of the government, he's like a propaganda tool for the government. Whether he's being paid, whether he's not being paid, that's up to he and his conscience. But he is a propaganda tool for the government. If you take a person like George Lobo is a UP partisan. That's clear. I think a lot of people know he's a UP partisan. So when he speaks about all the developments that UP did and whatnot, and compares it to the current government. People have to understand he's coming from a place of being a UP partisan. Who else? We could go down the list. So everybody is in their little box, their little partisan box, and have their little agenda. Prince Sharif, clearly a CDC guy, partisan, pushing CDC propaganda, can see nothing wrong with CDC. The things that were wrong yesterday that CDC used to advocate against is now things that they make excuses for, and they try to give all kinds of spin and propaganda. So I think what's happening in our country right now is this. The current government, when they were in the opposition, they use a lot of propaganda, they use a lot of lies, they use a lot of spin. And I think they think that being in government, they can continue to use that. Now, they always say, oh, like I heard people say, there are over 35 private media. We only have one. We have a lot of people to go against. And we're not going to pay people in the media. But the reality is, if you have people like Prince Sharif, you have Classic D, you have Livingston, you have Michael Gilman, all the others pushing the government's propaganda, you're still doing the same thing that you say you don't want to do, because you have people pushing your propaganda, whereas the government could simply go to every news media, go to every institution, whether they pro-government or not pro-government, and put out their information so that everybody hears it and we can have an honest and open debate. We're not having a debate. Everybody's just shouting at each other. I think this is the only platform where we actually have debates on the issues.
Thank you, Dr. Kula. And let's look at another person we talked about earlier was Zolizo and Classic D. You want to periscope these two individuals? Do you know anything about them?
Yes.
Okay.
Zolizo is an example of what a lot of the Facebook pundits have learned, that if you push the government's propaganda, if you preach in support of the president, somehow you could get a job, okay? I call it the Fagon phenomenon. Fagon used that particular phenomenon. He used to have his video things that he used to do from his wife African store, and after a while he jumped with ALP. He did some work for them, and then later on in the last part of the elections, he jumped behind CDC and did some work for them, and he ended up getting a job. And through that same process, Zoizo was able to get a job. But what's scary is what you guys were talking about, the extremism part of it. Now, Zoizo was extreme to the point where he talked about killing Costa. And after that, the president appointed him. The first thing that came to mind is like, these guys don't understand optics. They don't understand your self-awareness and situational awareness. How do you appoint a guy who's threatening to kill people, to kill protesters? I don't care how you spin it and say, oh, he'll say he's going to protect his investments or whatever. You appoint that kind of guy, you're sending a message to the average Liberian that says, oh yeah, all you got to do is speak on behalf of the president, talk about killing the opposition, and the president will appoint you. That doesn't look good. Now, let me say something about Prophet Key. I had never heard of Prophet Key, ever. I never watched him, never heard of him. The person that made me aware of Prophet Key was, you will never believe this, President George Weah.
George Weah. The first
George
time I heard
Weah.
of it, that's why I heard
That
it.
was the biggest mistake George Weah ever made. He made Prophet Key bigger than life. When he mentioned Prophet Key at one of his speeches that he was making, I think either one of the churches or somewhere earlier on in his
administration,
leadership, in his reign. He mentioned Prophet Key. I'm like, who is this Prophet Key? So I started Googling, and I started putting it into the search bar to see who he was. And finally it came up. And then I listened to him. I said, what? Why would the president elevate this kind of man to national discourse? And after the president did that, everybody started gravitating to the guy and listening to the guy. And the guy realized, oh, wow, I can get more people like this by cursing him. And the guy keeps cursing him. That's not good discourse. I don't like the insults that he does. I don't think it brings anything to the discourse, but I think the president and his people made the mistake by elevating Prophet Key to the national level. You don't mention those kind of people because all you're gonna do is have people wondering who they are and you'll get more people listening to him. Classic D is a sad case. He's a really sad case. I feel sorry for him. There's a recording of Classic D criticizing the government, saying negative things about the president. And people are playing it around. But then there's the same Classic D who gets on and he talks about killing Costa and he's extreme and talks all this stuff. And I think Classic D is hoping that he's going to get an appointment. And I agree with my brother, Mr. Cooney, that a lot of these guys come on these platforms as a means of either being an advocate, quote unquote advocate, so that they will get in the next government, or they push government's propaganda and they push support for government so that they can get appointed. Now, Classic D looks like somebody who needs a job, not to go further into any of his personal business, but he looks like somebody who wants a job. And most Liberians, if they were given a good job home and life was decent at home, most Liberians want to be home. So I think that's the game that Classic D is playing. But Classic D is not a knowledgeable person. He can't really spell. He can't really articulate. He's not somebody that I would follow. I listened to Michael Gilman just to see what kind of propaganda he's spinning, to know the argument that the government and he are pushing, so that I can know all arguments on both the government side and the opposition side and those in the middle, and then be able to make a informed decision about that, and also be able to educate Liberians that are listening to this show or listening to me through my posts or through articles or letters that I write to Front Page Africa. So I listen to all the arguments, but not to certain people. That's how I see it.
Thank you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony C.A. We have two of our analysts sitting here, and we also have Mr. Ellis Tutu Jones, who is the editor of our Business Economic Forum. Mr. Conan, you wanted to say something? Let me unmute you quickly. Go ahead.
In as much as we discussing these individuals, I just wanted to make the point that whatever is occurring with these quote unquote advocates, I mean, it's really not unprecedented. In as much as we may disagree with some of them, in as much as we may not follow all of them, in as much as we may find some of them offensive, I mean, it is not unprecedented, really. Like I said, we are in a democratic space, and there is little that anybody can do to control any of these people. Even here, even though sometimes when we say in the United States, people say you shouldn't compare Liberia with the United States, but hey, the United States sometimes is the point that we can look at certain things. You come in the United States, you see all these partisan news organizations, and the same thing we're talking about, some of it been done here. Can you recall, or do you know how many percent have been hired from Fox News room into Mr. Trump government? In fact, it looked like the Fox newsroom is the recruiting ground for the Trump's administration. So these things, we shouldn't be surprised by what is happening. And for some of us, that's the hope we have for our country, that despite all the challenges we're facing, democracy is taking hold. It is our responsibility to bring some kind of qualitative difference to the democratic process. We have all of these issues. We should have the ability to discern between the partisan outlet and other outlets that are different from the partisan outlet. That's our role. And that's what we need to do, because there is no way you can control, especially in the case of Facebook, somebody going live and saying what they want to say. But like I said, we gotta be mindful of who we promote and who we don't promote. There are a lot of issues to criticize every government. There is no government that will perform 100% where you will not find criticism. There are a lot of issues to criticize this current government for. For example, I will go on the record and criticize on the issue of people not getting their pay. That's a legitimate point to criticize the government for, but you don't have to cause anybody harm for that kind of criticism. The liquidity issue that was facing the bank, that was an issue of concern for everybody. I mean, people put their money in the bank, they have the right to get their money at the time they want it at the bank, So, I mean, there are many things you can criticize government for, but these foul languages that people deploy, whether it is academic limitation or it is just the nature of their upbringing, revealing people medical information that you think on Facebook, I think these are the areas that we have to take a stand. These are the things that we can't say, oh, the man is a Facebook pundit. The man is just an irresponsible person, an angry person that brings nothing to the table. But I mean, like Dr. Kula said, if you are a partisan and you're arguing for a partisan perspective, that's all fine. It is left with me to go and listen to what I consider to be partisan, or to go and listen to what I consider to be propaganda. What is propaganda to one person is news to another person. What is news to another person is propaganda to another person. But we all in the democratic space have to make these different decisions. Once we do it in an atmosphere of civility, in an atmosphere of respect for one another, in an atmosphere of respect for the system that we have, that's all I request. That's all I ask for.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. Our program is the Hour of Politics, and we are on our month-long series called Periscope. This time, Facebook talk show hosts, some of them carrying themselves as advocates, surrogates, propagandists, you name it. We are going after them, and we are saying they too are representing us as a people and as a country. And whatever they do on Facebook, they should do it in a way that will project the best image of our country and us as a people. And so we are periscoping them, meaning we are providing analytical critique on their activities on Facebook. Whatever they do, are they doing it because they are motivated by something? Is it personal interest? Do they just want the attention? This is our conversation. Gentlemen, let's look at another category. And that category is top critics of the government. Martin Colley, Sekou Kanen, Octavius Gateman. Octavius Gateman is the gentleman. Sorry, there was a terrible feedback. Octavius Gateman is a gentleman based in Michigan. He has a TLS International, I think so. And he been going after the president sometime back. He called him chicken feet president. And Sekou Kanem, many of us know, he's a guy, he's more like opposition leaning, and he been criticizing the government. And Martin Colley too, sometimes he goes live on Facebook. He's written several articles. He helps organize several protests to hold the government accountable. And so let's look at these individuals on the side of the government, then on the side of the opposition. Then on the opposition side, there are some group we call the political sympathizers of the government. These people, they are more like on the government side. They don't want to criticize too much. Sometimes they say yeah and there. And we have Mr. Gibson Juru, he told us on this platform that he's sympathetic to the government. So that's where we got our information from. Another person is called Mr. Ambassador Roosevelt Dan. He's more of a person who is on the government side. So gentlemen, let's look at these people, starting with you, Mr. Jones, Monty Collin, Sekou Kanem, Octavius Gibbon. What do you think?
Well, unfortunately, with my schedule, I don't have the time to look at every Facebook pundit. So I think that's one area. But I would like to just comment on the previous narrative about, the individuals, and then I would turn it over to them. They should know them. Unfortunately, I don't go on Facebook that much. Yeah, but I think he was mentioning some of this is academic challenge. I don't think it is. I think it's basically a mental illness for some of the languages people deal with on Facebook. Furthermore, also, I think it's a lack of Liberian press, because in Liberia, we don't have a strong press that can come up and create objective story. So people go out and they listen to what's available. Again, if the people don't have food, they will eat sand.
That's right.
So I think the Liberian journalism community has done a very, very poor job. They either have been tackled, they either have come to support parties or government, and they have, they're disgrace to their profession. Why would you go to study mass communication or journalism, spend your money, and then you get out to come online to kind of just be a Facebook pundit? Start a real investigative report, send articles. So that's the problem with our system. We don't have good journalism, other than a few, I would say the analysts, front page, there's not nothing out there that you can actually get, at least some kind of information. And that is because most of our people can't write. And writing is very difficult. The only way you're going to become a good writer unless you practice and you go to field. I've been writing for 15 years, and if I show some people my edits, how many edits I got to go through. So even the best New York Times, even Stephen King, but our journalists or talk show hosts, that's what you need to do, because it will evoke a better, because when you write, you think. You can't just write anything. It's easy for you to say anything. So the journalist community need to step up, and I'm glad to be a part of, Focus on Liberia. I was looking for something similar, and I will contribute to anybody who, is not but focused on Liberia. Whether it's somebody starting to do good reporting, call me. I want to, contribute or give my input. So that's the problem. We don't have journalism in Liberia. The second problem I see in our system with this whole Facebook thing is like, what his name, Dr. Kula said, was that we don't even have the decency or the self-respect to present your views and to disclose where you're coming from. And I will tell you this much. I think you and I was on with Michael Gilman. And part of the reason I like Michael Gilman, because you know exactly who he is. He's not, there to pretend that he's not a puppet for the government, or he's not he tells you exactly. And he does articulate the government point very well. So he does a good job in that front. I will hope that the opposition, right, will do likewise in terms of get some facts, get some facts. People tired of hearing where George we are sleeping and where in private jets and wherever the case may be, okay? There are lots of other issues that can be tackled. I mean, the schools in Liberia, the healthcare system in Liberia, the budget's out there, look at it. And, if I go to your show and I listen to something that is new, something that is informative, I will be more prone to want to come back and want to at least hear what you're saying. And again, the show that you guys held with the opposition ladies and the government ladies, that was a very interesting show, one of my favorite, because I was shocked at how well articulated these women were. Okay, they were able to say, I'm a government supporter and I support the government, this is why, or I'm against the government and this is why. And in that case, it's fine. I mean, like Mr. Connie said, even in America, Fox News, who they're going to support. You know who CNN is going to support. So there's not any media or any unbiased going on, but be objective, be clear about where you stand. If you're against the government, I think you should have the decency to come out and say, listen, I'm an ANC person or I'm a CDC person. You gain more respect. But if you're ashamed of the party you're with, okay, if you're embarrassed to even mention that you're a member of a party, then, really, who are you? Then why are you with that party if you don't have the confidence to say, I'm a member of the CDC and my point is to support the CDC. So I'm not against people coming on Facebook and giving their views or giving support. But when it comes as facts or when it comes as they care about Liberia, no, you do not care about Liberia. You care either about the opposition or you care about the government survival. And that's where the line is. If you do care about Liberia, then why you've never come out one time and criticize, if you're from the government, anything the government does or anything the opposition does? You know what I mean? If your interest was Liberia, then that's what you should do sometimes. But your interest isn't. So don't lie to yourself. You're there to promote a politician. You're there to promote a cause. And that's a good thing. But you have to first of all learn how to do it and be clear and unambiguous about it. I can support anybody. Tomorrow I can get up and say I want to support Joshua. I don't have to make any apologies to Joshua or Cummings or Uri or even Charles Stiller. The only difference is I will come and disclose that and I will be able to tell you why I'm supporting this person. And that is what education is all about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Dr. Kula, I think he made a very fair point there. There's no wrong in being on either side of the political divide. But when you are supporting your side, you have to be factual. And being on this side does not necessarily preclude you from the right to criticize that side if you see anything wrong. And that when Liberia is your goal, it's your utmost priority, whatever you see wrong, even if you belong to that side, you should be able to say it, and that's the best way to represent your country and show love for your country. You will speak to that, but don't forget Martin Colley, Sekou Kone, Octavius Gaiman, and if you know any of these guys, you've been following them. What's your opinion? Periscope them. I hear from you.
Martin Colley is a young man that's very, very objective. In fact, Martin Colley used to be with the CDC. I don't know if he was a member of the CDC, but CDC used to hail Martin Colley a lot during the 12 years of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, because Martin Colley put out a lot of his articles during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's administration. He was very critical of her. He was very vocal about his criticism, and the CDC hailed him. Now, the same thing Martin Colley was saying during the 12 years of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, he hasn't changed. He's saying the same thing now in the 2 years of CDC. But I think the problem is what CDC saw as wrong yesterday, they see right today. So now the problem that Martin Colley is pointing out is no longer the problem. Martin Colley is now the problem. He's a troublemaker. That's how they see it. So as far as Martin Colley is concerned, he's never wavered. He's never changed his position. He's always stood for the good of Liberia and for good governance, and he's exposed bad governance whenever it reared its head. The $16 billion Bring Back Our Money protest was led by him. It was peaceful. They negotiated with the government in order to do that. And I see him as somebody that's very worthwhile in our politics. Martin Colley is a young man that's going places, and I see him doing something big in the future. Whether he's doing these things for that reason or not, the fact of the matter is he does well-researched articles. He's an economics student. He just graduated. All of his articles are well-researched and detailed, and he puts them on Facebook. I don't know if he has a website where he could keep a lot of those articles just to have them archived, but he does very good research. So I respect Martin Colley a whole lot. Octavius Gilman, I don't listen to him. I've not really listened to him before, so I really don't have an opinion one way or another on him. Unless you.
What's about Sekou Kone?
Sekou Kone, I've listened to him here and there, and the way Sekou Kone projects himself is that he's trying to be very objective, and he's allowed the government officials and others to come on his show, as well as opposition. He leans opposition, but he tries to be very objective, and he tries to go for the truth. Over time, I think his platform has gained more listeners, more viewers rather, and it's gotten to be one of those that are respected because of the way he presents himself. He's well spoken. He's very respectable. He respects the president and others. There's no profanity on his show, and he deals with the issues. So I think because of that, he's been able to build his following. So he's averaging anywhere from 500 to 1,000 on average.
Yeah. And Dr. Kula, I just want to, he's one of those I've listened to a couple of times, and he's very objective. I would agree with you.
Sekou Kone, I will agree with you guys that, he tried as much as possible to be objective, based on my observation. And I think he started sometime early 2018. And I happened to be, I believe, his first guest. That was when the advocacy for the war crime courting was going on. I think I happened to be a first guest. And after that time, I appeared on his show several times. And I've seen how his platform has grown in a very short span of time. And you are right, he respects his followers. He's always calm, cool, and collected. He doesn't allow offensive words to be used on his platform. He communicates in a way that is respectful to even those he's trying to critique on his show. And I think that is how it should be. There's nothing wrong with taking a side if you decide to be neutral, but whatever you do, it should be done in a very respectful manner. The government, we are the government, or we own the government, so we can criticize the government. And those who are in public offices, it is our right to critique them. If they don't want to be critiqued or criticized, let them get out of government. If the kitchen is too hot, let them get out. But we have to do it in a more respectful and civil manner, because whatever we say more about us than to the person or to the people we are saying it. So Sekou Kone. The guy, Otiva Gamen, I follow him. He's been very consistent on his TLS International. Usually he comes on 11 in the night. Pretty much, I think that 11 is 12 midnight Eastern time. And then
that's my bedtime.
Yeah, that's the time he comes on all the time. And he been consistent. He been going after the president, calling him chicken feet president. And and sometimes he tried to be a little more objective. Somebody will call him Halano. Again, folks, in cyberspace, we have opened the phone line. The phone lines are open. Place a call to us and tell us all the Facebook politicians, Facebook advocates, surrogates, and all that. Tell us what's your own impression. We need to critique these individuals because they represent us, whether you like them or not. When they are on Facebook, they speak like Liberians, they talk about Liberia. Are they communicating in a more responsible way that will make our country to be respected?
Did you guys talk about Emmanuel Savas?
We'll get to Emmanuel Savas. And there where we are trying to go. But before we get to Emmanuel Savas, let's look at another category of Facebookers or Facebook politicians, surrogates, and propagandists, whatever you want to call it, that we put in the category of flip-floppers. And those that made the flip-flopper category are those either during the campaign were on the side of the CDC, and out of the sudden, the president is seated, either they don't happy, either they didn't get a job, something, and now they are going after the president, they are going after the government, almost on everything. Those that
why only CDC to government? What about ALP to CDC and so on and so forth?
And that's why it is.
All of them.
Everything is included. Whatever we leave out, you can bring it out, and you even have the right to disagree with or whether this person is a flip flopper or not. It's just to start the conversation. But those that missed the flip flopper list, we have Vendela Patrick. Vendela Patrick during the campaign vigorously for the CDC, and he campaigned as though the CDC was the Jesus coming for Liberia, to redeem Liberia. In no time, he's going after them. And then we have Obe Nation, now known on Facebook as Obe. He's a long-time sedition. He campaigned. He was a chief strategist. He was the guy going after just about anybody. He was vicious in his campaign tactics during the heat of the campaign. Some people said that he wanted to be defense minister. He didn't get it. I don't know it's why. He's going after we are so harshly. And another thing about Obe that many people I have noticed is that he has sectionalized his politicking on Facebook. He put all those from the Southeast as crew and crown people who know nothing. His conclusion is that Doe was from there, Todman was from there, and Liberia did not benefit, and Southeasterners, men, are good for nothing people. And that's how he been preaching the politics. And I reached out to him asking, hey, this kind of politics you're preaching, I'm concerned. You think it's the best politics you can preach? Is it the section or the region that matter, or the individual? He said, oh, my man, I'm just doing this so as to provoke the Southeasterners, But then he continues.
Why would you want to provoke people?
Yeah, and is that a way to provoke people? And so, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
You want to go after these guys? Do you know any of them?
Yeah, one question too. I just want to make an important point here, right? Before we go into that, I think we all agree the consensus about Sekou, okay?
Yeah.
All right, now, I just want to tell the Liberian people, okay? I think if Sekou wanted any job in any government, he would get it. So you don't have to be, a propagandist. You don't have to be
extreme,
a deceit. Yeah, you know what I mean? All of us agree here today. If Sekou was appointed Minister of Information, we all will endorse him. Why? Because of the respect and because of how he conducts himself. So the people who I see going to the extreme or trying to, create this press around nothing or propaganda or fight, you're not going anywhere in the next government. Probably some of you guys are going to be prosecuted so bad 5-10 years from now that you'll regret this day. So just one of those things that when we see people who are doing the right thing, okay, that they've decided to come out and help our country by giving, objective news. I watched Costa on Sekou's show. And man, he beat Costa up. That's where I had a lot of respect. I mean, Costa, loud mob Costa were on Sekou's show. Like, he didn't have a word to say because why? The facts are the facts. Okay. Then he brought Chris Toby on, right? And he did the same thing. So that's why I'm talking about good journalism. That you're objective, you ask the right questions, and we all have some biases, no question about it. But do your job. If you want to be a good host on Facebook, like Martin Luther King said, in honor of him, if you want to be a street sweeper, be the best. So nothing wrong with being a Facebook host, but at least be good at it. Let people recognize you and say, yes, this person knows what they're doing. So I just wanted to make sure that we give credit sometimes to some of our brothers and sisters. I don't know this man. He doesn't work for FOL. But I would say those who want to have an objective interview or the comments and the URAs on Sekou's show, if you don't want to come here, because I will be watching there and I think he would do a good job.
And still talking about the flip-flopper category, I just want to add another person I think made the flip-flopper category is D-Flow. D-Flow Flomo, who is the host of the Liberian Destiny debaters. D-Flow, he been neutral, he been playing a role as a journalist, interviewing people. And out of his soul, according to him on his podcast, Samuel 12 reached out to him. And for some reason, this guy decided that he would join the CDC. Somebody who had come across to us as a journalist, out of his son, join a political party. I'm not saying that's not his right, but journalists should be neutral. That's what I know. A journalist might decide to join a political party, that's up to him, but journalists should be neutral. That's the general conventional wisdom. But he joined the CDC. Hold on. He joined the CDC. He went to Liberia. He came back and he divorced the CDC, and he's going after the CDC viciously. Another person that made our flip-flopper live is Faliga. Faliga was the big critic of the Weah government when Weah took over. He was in their throat. In no time, he was with the COP. I don't know what happened there. He fell off with the COP. And I would say that either he's going through transition, whatever it is, his tune has changed. He's no longer even on his show. I was a follower of his show. I used to listen to his show all the time, something he can attest to. I used to call on the show to participate. That good program, he stopped it. All because now he's nowhere, because he was with the opposition at some point, and now he's more than seen as somebody who is in the government corner. I think he made our flip-flopper category. Christmas City also comes to mind. Christmas City is a sedition. He goes after the CDC, and then at some point, when he's ready to go to Liberia, he will change the tune. He will start talking in favor of the CDC. I saw the post today. I don't know whether he's in Liberia with Dara Diram. So I follow this young man. I guarantee you, if he returns, if it is true he's in Liberia, if he returns, when he goes on Facebook, he will go after the government harshly. But when he knows that he's about to go to Liberia, he will change. After he leaves Facebook for some time, boom, he's in Liberia. Gentlemen, you are laughing. So these are the people we all listen to. So I'm wondering, are they in this for their own interest? What's their motivation? Go ahead.
I'm laughing because of the way you describe the flip-flopping of Christmas Sally. I never really noticed it until you brought it to my attention. You're right, because the last time he went to Liberia, he was taking pictures with Prince Johnson. And he made sure not to mess with Prince Johnson, right? But then when he comes back to the stage, then he starts talking. That guy is something else. But let's talk about some of these people that you listed. You forgot to list one of the main ones, which is Eugene Fagon.
Oh, okay.
I consider Eugene Fagon the biggest flip-flopper of all time.
Thank you for breaking that up.
Well, Dr. Kula, I would disagree with you. I would say that title goes to Henry Castor.
Well, let me analyze Eugene Fagon.
Yeah.
You can deal with Castor.
All right.
Eugene Fagon, I know him personally. And when I say I know him personally, not that we lived in the same town or grew up together or anything, we met on Facebook. Because I like politics, I was on a lot of these political forums. And the first political forum that started, it wasn't really a political forum. It was a forum that just had a lot of Liberians. It was these Fadiga brothers, TMZ Liberia. They had a forum that my friend kept bugging me to get on, and I would ignore it. And then eventually I got on there and we started discussing politics, and I ran into Fagon. And Fagon used to call himself Mr. Neutral, right? And he would post his pictures on Facebook in these different forums as we discussed in politics. And then he finally reached out to me and said, you know what, why don't we open our own little group? And I said, what will we call it? He said, let's call it the Liberian Electoral College. Boom. So we created the Liberian Electoral College. And we used to discuss politics. In fact, that's how I even read into Kimmy Weeks, the big advocate Kimmy Weeks on that forum. Everybody was on that forum, including Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She used to be on there under a different name, but her best friend, Pinky Cassell, and everybody was on there. So once Fagon knew that all of them were on there, he started to audition for them. So he was Mr. Neutral, and then he would post his picture, and then you would never know what was his political leaning, right? So Fagon was supposed to be this political genius, right? Selling himself on the forums. Now you put videos there and everything, okay? So Mr. Neutral went from that to then he started battling, he and I started battling the CDC USA chairman, Avatuba. And Avatuba would be the one defending Weah, and Fagon will be tearing into Weah terribly with all kinds of stuff. In fact, we even coined this name for the CDC. We used to call them confrontational, dysfunctional, and corrupt, CDC. And then while Fagon is doing this, he's battling the CDC. He's in Ava's inbox trying to get Ava to bring him to the CDC. I didn't know this until Ava busted him out in the open. Well, long story short, Fagon finally got this guy called, you didn't add him on there, Ashford Garley. Ashford Garley brought Fagon on the radio, and they started doing a radio program together on Mr. Uri's radio station, right? And Robert Haynes, who is now working with Fagon, Minister of Information, was their little sidekick. So from there, Fagon joined the ALP. And Fagon and I even had a debate on D-Flow show where Fagon was defending the ALP and calling we and everybody else the cartel, and the ALP was supposed to come and save Liberia. All right? After that, Fagon fell out with the ALP. It was in the news. When he fell out with the ALP, he came back again to the forum and started selling his services to the highest bidder.
He became Mr. Neutral again.
He became Mr. Neutral again. He got it right. So after that, I think the UP was trying to get him to work with the old man, Boyka. That didn't work out. He ended up going to CDC and started pushing CDC's agenda for like the last, I think, 10 months, preaching everything CDC, everything we are. After we are one, then he started pushing his audience to get WIA to make him Minister of Information, or to make him the Chief of Staff, or to make him, what was the other one? There was something else. 3 things he wanted. But in the end, he ended up getting Deputy Minister of Information. So for me, I give Fagon the biggest flip-flopper ever, because he's been Mr. Neutral, he's been Mr. ALP, he tried to be Mr. UP, and then eventually he became the CDC.
But Doc, in Eugene Fagon's defense, okay? At every point he comes out and he tells you where he is at that point. So I don't have a problem with someone being neutral, taking a position and saying, well, I want to go with United Party. Come out, disclose, as of today, I'm a United Party stooge or I'm a United Party surrogate. And then move from there, right? Like somebody would leave from JP Morgan and go work to Citibank, or from Citibank, or you will leave from Well Hospital and go, nothing's wrong with that. So long you disclose it and so long you don't have any hidden motives. So again, it's the ones who carry the crown are the ones who are pretending to say, I'm not, yes, that I'm not here for politics. I'm here for the right thing. But you part of political agenda, you part of political party, you pushing a political candidate. So with Eugene Fagon, as much as I disagree with most of his rhetorics, I think he discloses, right, what side he's on. So I got to get a general pass. With Fatiga, and to be honest with you, I was one of those who started on Fatiga's show, and he's a friend of mine, so it will be a conflict of interest. I would not criticize in this case. You know, I think he's going through a lot of reflection. He's developing as a person, as a journalist. I think he's a fine host. You know, I personally, he's a friend of mine, so I wouldn't say negative things about him. Now, if you're a government official, then of course that's a different thing. But he's a private citizen. He has every right to change his views. In fact, he's been on the show. He's one of those who will change his views, and he will come and tell you why he's changed his views.
Yes.
He just had an article out there recently, right? And he told you. So I'm not going to fault a man who, a wise man, changes. And so he didn't keep it as a secret. When he disagreed with the COP, he came out on his show. He had a full expose of why he disagreed. So I got to give the brother a pass on that one as well. And now that about.
Yeah, thank you. Talking about Fatiga, myself too, we share the same state, Minnesota. I've had an opportunity to meet him, I think, like 3 times. So I would say he's somebody that I know. And you are right. You know, I think he's evolving as a person. Maybe for some reason he got conflicted with being opposition, and and he thinks I'm thinking that maybe he doesn't see the solution in it, and but why I'm wondering why he stopped.
He was hurt. He was very hurt by the COP.
Yeah, because for me, I follow him, and I think with the technology, the way he does it, video.
Oh, he's good.
Sharing screen, and it's brilliant, and he's been part of the conversation. We can talk about disagreement here and there, but I think he's been part of the conversation about our country. Changing position here and there is normal. We humans do that. But I'm just concerned why he just left the scene. If for some reason,
let me give you my view. Let me give you my view.
Right.
I know the Fadiga brothers, and I've been knowing them for a long time since they ran the TMZ forum, and they ran TMZ International. In fact, whenever there's journalists or somebody wanting to do a story on Liberians in the Twin Cities, I always refer them to the Fadiga brothers because of that TMZ radio. In fact, the last article that came out in Minnesota about the election, I spoke to that journalist, I wrote it, a female journalist, and I told her to talk to the Fadiga brothers, to talk to the various groups in the Liberian community in Minnesota, as far as the CDC, the opposition, the UP, and whatnot. At the time, the Fadiga brothers were pushing UP heavily, pushing Omen Boyka heavily. They got into, what's the name of the thing? They got into the COP, and initially Hassan Fadiga, the older brother, was pushing for the June 7th protest to be based upon we are stepping down. And the guys refused. In fact, the brothers even posted themselves claiming to be going to the June 7th protest, only to end up in Senegal, on the beaches in Senegal. They never made it. Right, they never made it to the protest. Later on, they took a trip to Liberia, okay? And rumor has it that when they went on that trip to Liberia, they were in the audience of the president. Rumor has it that the president gave them money, but I heard from a reliable source that the president was boasting that he gambled with the Fadiga brothers, okay? Whatever gamble, they gamble with the cards or whatever, I don't know, but he was boasting that he gambled with them. Now, I have been very critical of the Fadiga brothers, especially Hassan Fadiga, because he's in law enforcement. He's been following all the political issues in Liberia for the longest time. He should know better than to be co-opted by these guys. And because now you're not going to talk anymore, you shut down your broadcast, you're not going to talk anymore. You want everybody else to keep quiet and be co-opted. I don't think that's fair. And because I've done that, he's come at me personally and attacked me personally. I don't care. Anybody can attack me personally. Like I told Michael Gilman, and others, you can attack me personally all you want. You can call me cripple, you can call me whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not answering to anybody about anything related to my personal issues, whether I'm crippled, whether I can't walk, whether I can't see, whatever. I'm not going to answer to that unless I'm in front of your government for a job or running for a position. Then you can ask me about my health issues, and I can discuss it. But I can't be discussing the fact that the president allowed $25 million to be infused into the system. Then you're talking about, oh, you cripple, your hand don't work. No, I'm not going there with you. I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you. Okay? I'm not doing that. So as far as the Fadiga brothers are concerned, as far as they're concerned, I think they have been co-opted. That's why he shut down his show. And that's why they're trying to get people to see it their way. I think they want to push propaganda for WIA, but they don't know how to do it. They don't seem credible when they come out and try to tell people, the sun is shining when we know it's raining. I think that's the problem they're having right now. And each time they post something, I go for them. And I will continue to do that because I do that for whether you're my friend or you're not my friend. Let me tell you something. The guy called Melvin Johnson, Melvin Johnson and I, the judge, Melvin Johnson and I grew up together in Atlanta. Melvin Johnson went to law school. I went to med school. The girl that he was supposed to marry is best friends with my wife. Okay, that's how close we were. But when Melvin Johnson and Ellen Cochran thing happened, I got on D-Flow show when he and Ellen Cochran were on there because I know Ellen Cochran also. And I got on there and said, Melvin, there's people like you were expected to go home and do the right thing. Why did you have government monies wired into your account? Instead of Melvin dealing with the issue, he came out and said, oh, we know Bart dealing with issues and his injury and blah, blah. That's not the issue, bro. Why did you have government money wired into your personal account? That's the issue. And he went and told people, oh, I thought me and Bart were friends. Why would Bart say that? We can't do that. We can't keep looking the other way because our friends are involved. We have to tell our friends the truth. We have to tell our relatives the truth.
All right, gentlemen, let's try to go to our phone lines. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C., your guy. Ellis Chuchu Jones is seated, the editor of the Business Economic Forum here at this network. And then we have Dr. Kula. He's one of our chief policy analysts. And as you can see, he's periscoping. This is what we do. All right, gentlemen, let's go to the phone line. I think we have a caller here. Caller, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry for keeping you waiting that long. Your name and where you joining us from?
Oh, my name is Octavius Gilman.
Mr. Gilman, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We periscope you. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good show. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, Dad?
I'm good, and you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's a pretty good show. Let me say thanks to your studio guest, and I listened to the show. When I saw this in my inbox, in my DM yesterday, I thought you guys watched the Ghanaian podcast that were on Facebook and YouTube yesterday. I mean, on Friday, last week Friday. They had the same discussion about the Ghanaian blogger advocate. And the focus was, what was the achievement or contribution made by the advocate in the diaspora in Ghana? They were trying to find who was doing more for the country, or who allied or who platform were the Ghanaian were benefiting from. But when I listen to us now, we should put on this platform, I listen to y'all, it seems like you guys are looking at who speak better English, who got more people following them, who got government job, who is biased. So now I ask myself, yes, this is typical Liberian, because we, and a lot of, and like that said, a lot of things which of course he's right. Like a lot of the talk show hosts, are in this for their own benefit, and it's 100% true. Because as my older brother Michael Gilman, who I can take a voter for, I've been in this. Then yes, I can do that in a day. I gotta. I mean, that's my everything on this planet. Because without him, I would not be here. That's where education come in. We are different, and the whole world know that. And those who follow me, there are two guys that been in this political landscape than me, the Alphatica and Costa. I've been on Facebook than any other names that you guys mentioned. If money was my problem, I'm not a member of any political party. I had the opportunity to work for Eddie Johnson Sirleaf. I spoke to her twice to be and sit down in this country and get on payroll, and I turned it down, even down to this government. But I want us now to put our energy and our time into what can we do for our country, and what country do we want to leave for the next generation? If we even have the generation, are we preparing the next generation? We that call ourselves advocates, talk show hosts, what are we doing? What impact are we making to society? Are we just on Facebook to run our mouth that we got control over the English language? Or how many people following us? Or who coming on our platform? Is that what we focus on? Or, I mean, the life, how many lives that we change? Who are we in our community? Who are you in your society?
Mr.
I think, and we focus on that. Yeah,
Mr. Gibbon, our information is that some way, somehow, you supported Mr. Jones, Mel Jones, for president. Were you neutral at the time when you supported him?
Yes, I supported the individual, not the party.
So that made you neutral then?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not a member of any political party in the country.
I disagree. You were not neutral. If you support somebody, that means you're not neutral. You took side at the time. He was your choice of candidate. So that not being neutral.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I owe my audience. I cannot say, look, I want a good country. But then when they ask me, okay, you have three different choices here to make. You have Arizona Cummings, you have Joseph Walker, and you have George Weah. You can't just say, look, I'm going to fold my hand. Okay, but you got to take out. Where can we go? I look at the three options that I have and say, okay, look, I take George Weah, I take Joseph Walker off because Joseph Walker is out of the whole, Joseph Walker is corrupt because he part of Eddie Johnson Sirleaf government. So let's take Joseph Walker off.
Mr. Gibbon, let's do this. Mr. Gibbon, let's do that. We are periscoping. In other words, we are trying to look at the motivation, the advocacy, we're looking at the popularity, we're looking at how respectful, how tolerant the Facebook politicians, Facebook advocates, you name it, how they been. You know some of them because you are in the business. You want to talk about one or two that you want to critique? And then
Sonny, real quick, what Mr. Gilman said, we need to add
No.
The benefits that they bring to the discourse to Liberia, to the diaspora, that needs to be added as well. I agree with him on that.
Right. So go ahead. I mean, we have other callers waiting. So can you talk about one or two of them in the business?
And also,
that's not my job.
Mr. Gilman, just 1 second, just because you made some assertion that we are not promoting Liberians or we are not the Ghanaians, we're talking about a host. So my question to you, have you watched all the other shows that we've done? And did you listen when we talked about some of the hosts that we felt were promoting a civil balance shows?
No. I did. The thing is,
So what do you have to say now? What do you have to say about
100%
but on this particular show, we talk about, for instance, hold on 1 second. You have your say. We'll give you time. Thanks for calling. But I'm saying you asked a question. I think we have a right to ask you a question too. On this very show, we talked about individuals. Again, one individual who has been very once a Liberian who positively contribute, and we praised him. And we talk about those who we felt that were only there to promote either vulgarity or cursing mind, and we discourage that. And we said that there are few people who are like Fagon, who took side, like your brother, who came out and said, look, I support this government. We said that's fine. So what's your criticism against us tonight that you feel that we're not like Ghanaians that you hope that would do? Because we praise your brother on this show just now.
No, I don't. Oh no, it's not about my brother. I'm just saying that you guys are doing a great job. I'm saying if you guys can add to say what are they guys then? I mean, what impact are they making to society? Are they making to the community, even in this country or back home? Because these are the people that we preach to. I mean, are we changing life, or are we just there to support our candidate, or are we just there for how many people watching us, or are we just taking the thing for fun?
But that's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what we started doing. Yeah, that's exactly what the show is about. We talk about we talk about some of the parties and some of the people on Facebook, how they're not creating any kind of positive. They're just there to kind of like politic or the monger around. They're now objective. That's exactly what we're talking about. So I mean, what do you mean that we're not saying that?
Let Mr. Gimmer go ahead and Periscope person. Mr. Gimmer, I want you to, one or two person you want to talk about the activity and how you see that. That's why we are doing, that's the focus. Do that. We have another few callers waiting on the line.
Yeah, and I mean, I would not go ahead and choose one or two individual who I got problem with or
no, it's not a problem. It's a critique.
That's not my job to do.
It's a critique. It's not a problem.
Yeah. And I will leave that. No.
Mm-hmm.
I will leave that. Okay, let me do this. Like our brother, Macosta. People are saying, including me, the brother is gifted. There's a difference between a favor and a blessing. He is favored, but he's not making news out of it, more especially in this country. If I were around Costa would not involve or engage in Liberian politics. Costa would be a millionaire within the next 5 years, just by doing what he do best. You can see it. I was in a gallery yesterday with 3 Americans. When we play Costa tape, and the things that I will not say here, but the things that the guys then point to, how Costa can make millions of dollars and can also take that money and benefit his audience back home. He's not doing it. Why? Because he got people he got his friends around him, not mentors. And so, and I mean, sometimes we beat on him, but I think those of us that ready see something in him more than that he see in himself. I pray that one day, and God revealed that to him, that there's a lot of things ahead of him, there's a lot of bright future ahead of him, that he do better.
Mr.
And yeah.
I was about to say, because of time, please wrap it up there. We got people waiting, and time is fast spent.
Yeah, so I want to take this time to say thank you to you guys. So if you guys are saying about we, the talk show hosts, advocate, and what we do and what we're not doing, and the brother and dad mentioned that, and the other brother talked about why a lot of us can read before we come on, and we should be factual, all that kind of thing. And also, I want you to do the same, because I can say on this platform now to you guys, I spend money in Liberia and then talk show host on the planet. Both times I'm here. I mean, the record is there. Yeah, so I just wanted to be very accurate too. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Gimmer, thank you. And before you leave, I want to say here for the record, I have little knowledge of your contribution. I heard it from yourself that many a times you build hemp on, you pay people school fee. I know there were times that I think somebody wanted to do a business. There's a lady, you said that on your show, she wanted to do a business and you sent her some money. And so these are things you've been doing. You based, a number of hemp pumps around, let's say in Liberia, I don't know specific area. I think I heard you talking about hemp pump in Grand Bassa County sometime back. And anytime you carry on or provide the assistance in Liberia to Liberians, you come on your show, you talk about that. So I must say here for the record that you are one of the talk show who makes contribution to Liberians and also in Liberia. We will leave it there and we'll take our next caller. Thank you.
Well, let me just say something to Mr. Gilman real quick. Mr. Gilman, thank you for what you're doing. That's something you're doing of your own accord. Continue to educate our people, inform them, and give them those things that they need. We need more people talking about just simple things like open defecation and not to do that, about hygiene and health care and so on and so forth. So continue to do what you're doing. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Jones, let's take the other caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here, sir.
Sorry for keeping you to wait that long. Your contribution, we are looking at our talk show host on Facebook politician. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. And I also want to say a big thank to your guests. Like most of them have already said, there are some talk show hosts that come on air that are not even required listening to. Just to name a few, if I was anybody if I was just the only one to listen to talk shows, I wouldn't listen to the talk show of people like Prophet Key, Jida Hart, Sharif, and there are reasons why I say I would not want to listen to those people because
Like, yeah, you.
my reasons are that one.
They are Liberians.
Exactly. Like for Prophet Key, your guest in studio, your analysts are almost everything about him. Sometimes you bring information, but the way in which you present this information makes the information to taste good in the ears of people, and sometimes it makes it to taste very, very bad. And sometimes people wonder, who are these people actually listening to this person? The same thing with Costa. Initially, when Costa started actually performing his show, by the time I was in Liberia, I did not follow him. Just for some of these reasons. Because by then he was very, very raw. The Costa today who has gotten almost all of the popularity now. He was raw. He was insulted every time he come on show. So the presentation, somebody bring the message, but the way in which you present the message, it makes it look distasteful to the people who are even listening to you. Look at the Jida Hart show, the Gamer. Gamer come on his talk show, he does not bring information. He only discusses Costa. Why should we be discussing a talk show host when Liberia has problems that we should be discussing?
True.
If you want to defend the government, bring information from the government and defend it instead of discussing the individual who is criticizing the government. The same thing with the other fellow or Sharif. All of their platform, if you go on their platform every day, if you don't discuss Costa, that show is not being held.
It's reactionary.
So instead of bringing the message to the people that will convince the people, you are even making Henry Costa popular because every time we come on your show, we try to listen to something different. The only name we hear is Henry Costa. You see? So you are not convincing us. Costa is criticizing the government, but you are there promoting Costa instead of trying to promote the government.
Caller, we forgot to ask for your name and where you're calling from.
I said I'm Keselin Dover. I'm calling from Texas.
All right. Yeah, I think you're making a fair point. Go ahead, conclude, so we go to our next caller.
So these are some of the reasons. So my advice to them is that, especially for those who are trying to defend the government, every one of us have our own bad side. No talk show host, never, even your show, Focus on Africa, you are not going to be 100% on track. There will come a time you will take sides, no matter what, no matter how good you try to be, no matter how perfect you try to be, there will come a time that human nature, it is part of our human beings. It will get in us and you will have to take sides. But my advice to them, for those who are defending the government, preach more good of the government and leave the opposition. Preach the government, continue preaching the government so that you can sell the government image out there. Because the more you preach the opposition, like the Henry Costa, like the Dollar Bill, the more you make people want to know, but who are these guys talking about? You know?
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for your time and thanks to your guests. They have said almost everything.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Excellent contribution, my friend.
Yeah, excellent contribution. And gentlemen, let's do this. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, Politics with me, Anthony C. We are Periscoping talk show on Facebook. Mr. Jones, let's do this. Let's bring our final categories, and then we'll take some calls, and then we see how we can wrap it up here. So the category is also important. There are some Facebook talk show hosts or advocates we think are more like issue-driven. They have their goals, you know, they have what they are advocating for. And the first person that comes to mind is Emmanuel Savage. Emmanuel Savage is based in Canada. He has organized protests for the establishment of the War Crime Code. That has been his signature advocacy issue. He's been consistent. He's been on message. He uses personal money. He's raised some resources from Liberians to support that cause. Emmanuel Savage, as far as we know, he does not have any alignment politically. When he sees something wrong on the side of the opposition, he says it. And also when he sees something on the side of the government, he also says it. He's now more into the politics, but as a Liberian, he feels that it is a responsibility to hold his elected officials accountable. He's been very strong on the lawmakers. He always tried to go after them. I think at one point he said that they are our main problem. They are our main problem. He's trying to organize another peaceful protest in Liberia for his signature issue, the establishment of the War Crime Code. So we think he's banner. He's more of an issue-driven person than just the politics. Another person that comes to mind is Alfonso Zionso. He carries himself as a journalist. I'm not saying he's a journalist because I don't know that, but he carries himself as a journalist. He critiques the government. He critiques the opposition. He makes suggestions how they can do it better. He advises them how to conduct themselves, and I think he's doing a good job. Another person is Samuel Bito. He's another talk show host, Big Brother. He's very responsible in how he communicates. Another person is Maske Mixer. He's based in London. He's a Liberian, and his signature issue, he more like Emmanuel Savage with a War Crime Code issue. That has been his thing. If you're looking for somebody who goes after Prince Johnson, that's him, just as Emmanuel does. We think his advocacy is more issue-driven. He does not have any political alignment. He cautions the government sometimes. He points out some things that government doing wrong, but he's not more about the politics. He's more about the issue, and that signature issue is the War Crime Code. And then we another sister on Facebook is called Lily J. Lily J, her name is Jessica. She more like banners, and she criticizes the government constructively in a more respectful manner without calling names. Sometimes she expresses her frustration about the way things are happening, but she does it in a more respectful manner that, she has a lot of people that are following her. She's been in the business for some time now. She got a lot of people following her. Let's talk about the other category, and the other category is called the G's and the Fries. Think about it. The G's and the Fries category, gentlemen. The G's and the Fries category, pretty much most of them are ladies. They're on Facebook. They have their live Facebook talk show, and they bring in the social interaction, the social corruption that going on in the government.
Entertainment.
That's Wale Gallo. It was rumored that at some point, she had something, some kind of connection with the president. And then you talk about Crystal Musa. Crystal
President
at some point said that, the government asked her, for sex, and she said no, but she gave it to Calasco.
The government asked her for sex.
And back and forth. They have a lot of people following. I was listening to Crystal. I came across a podcast the other day. The girl she had 400 people watching. And what was she saying? Just gossip. The G's and the fries. These are the ladies that bring the G's and the fries to the conversation. So, Mr. Jones, you go first, and if you know any of them, and then we will bring our caller in, and that will go.
Again, I stick to the economics and fun. I don't do the G's and the fries, but anyway.
You want to take something on the G and the fry and humanitarian service?
I want to take something on the first list that you went over, the issue-driven guys, and then we can get to the G's and the fries.
All right.
And talk about some G's there.
Yeah.
So, dealing with the guys with the issues that are issues-driven, I think you're on point with this list. I've been able to follow each one of these guys at some point. Emmanuel Savage, I think, has led 2 protests in Monrovia for the War Crimes Court. They've all been peaceful protests, which he did fund himself, and that's the issue he's pushing. And the reason he's pushing that issue because it's personal to him. His brother, I believe, or sister, one of his relatives was left in the home as they went somewhere to either find their mom or something like that. And I think they were told not to open the door. And when they came back, they found a skeleton there. The kid had starved to death. And because of that, bringing accountability to Liberia for war crimes that were committed during our Civil War is very important to him. He works, I think, in trucking in Canada, but he was able to open that platform and start broadcasting, and he connected with a radio station in Monrovia, I think Out 107, and he's been broadcasting for a long time. I've been on there as a guest on several occasions, and I respect him a whole lot because he is issue driven. Afonso Zionso, he traveled to Liberia recently. Every now and then I might watch and see what he's talking about, but he's not somebody I follow so much. But he's also issues driven. He's been exposed to a lot of the government officials. I think he has people on the ground working for him. I don't know that his background is in journalism. I'm not sure of that. You forgot Ashford Garley.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, I don't know if you talk about Ashford Garley, but Ashford Garley is a journalist that worked in Liberia as a journalist, currently here in the States, and he's been doing some consultancy in journalism and opening radio stations. Now, I know Ashford Garley because of the fact that when he and Fagon ran the show on the radio, when he was brought to run Mr. Ura's radio station, I was also a guest on their program before. And then when Ashford and this gentleman, Sam Sion, who is at NSA that owns Freedom FM, that's pushing government propaganda, he had Ashford on the radio station. Ashford called me, and we used to do a program every week that handled medical issues, which was really issues driven and whatnot. And then somehow he criticized the government, and Sam Sion took him off the radio. But he's still pushing his issues on the on Facebook, and he does it mostly through like a soccer match kind of thing.
Right.
Sam Toe, that gentleman is very knowledgeable. His brother is one of those guys that were in the PRC, and he told his own personal story about what happened to his brother after the coup, and how his brother was one of the first guys to be killed among the guys who led the coup, and how he was helped, and he got back to the States, and he talks about very historical issues. So I like to listen to him because of that. He puts everything in perspective from a historical point of view. Max the Mixer used to be on LIB Radio, I think it was called, with what's his name? Nokofo is how most people call him. But that's how I know Max the Mixer. Don't really listen to the show that much. Jessica, I listen to, very issue-based, very knowledgeable. But Jessica, we have to realize that she's a CDC partisan. And the reason Jessica started to criticize the CDC was when she went home and she was treated a certain way by the people over there in immigration. And she realized that a lot of things that were being told to our people is not what it actually is. And so she's very objective. When the CDC does the right thing, she'll hail them, but when they do the wrong thing, she criticizes them, and I respect her for that. You know, she doesn't care what people say about her, what people do to her. She still speaks her mind, and I respect her honesty and whatnot. Now let's talk about the gossipers and the G's and the fries.
Yeah.
Most of these ladies, like Bess Gallo, I would put under entertainment. There's a whole group of Liberian girls that are into entertainment, and Bess does a lot of stuff about her hair product and her skin product and clothing and stuff like that. When it became gossip was when Crystal came out and put out the whole issue about the beef between she and Bess, and how Kalasco asked her whether if the old man wanted to sleep with her, meaning the president wanted to sleep with her, whether she'll do it. She ended up sleeping with Kalasco. She told us about Kalasco's body odor, all kinds of things, you know, and people just go there because of the G's, because Liberian people love gossip, and it's amazing.
So guy, I know where you be. I'm trying to call you for us to do the working group.
No, I only went there once. But yeah, people go there for that because it's entertaining. Like when she's telling us about how the president called her sunshine. That was a whole week of Liberian people talking about sunshine and whatnot. And that's how come we got to know that guest was actually flown in from the States to go to the July 26th event that the president brought her in and whatnot. So yeah, you can talk about G's, but don't forget the folks that are actually into entertainment. There's a whole group there that's into entertainment, that's keeping our musicians busy, you know, promoting them, you know, but whether the comedians, whether the musicians, whatever, there's a whole group that does that. And there's this girl called Bernice Molba. She's one of those that's really strong in that. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll try to reach out to her and bring her on. Yeah, let me ask quickly so we can go to our
Curtis. Curtis, the comedian. I think you forgot that. Our man Sam Jackson. He's also, I think, he'll be on the show tomorrow with Dennis. I guess he's been very hot out there.
Yeah, that's good. That is true. And so, folks, in cyberspace, this is focused on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Sia, your host, Dr. Kula, our chief policy analyst, Mr. Alice Tutu Jones, who also provides some analysis, but he is the editor of our Business Economic Forum. Tomorrow, we'll be having Sam Jackson, the long-time Liberian public servant economist, will be here. He said he has disengaged with the CDC professionally. What does that mean? I don't know.
You with CDC again?
So we will be having him here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And the veteran Dennis Jai will be in the house. I will be here. I'll be co-hosting. Don't miss it. You will get all the G's that are going on in the government. I think Samuel got something to explain. Let's take our caller here. Caller, the brother is Steve Bole. Mr. Bole, welcome to Focus on Liberia, to our Periscope series.
Thank you. Here, I'd like to start off by saying thanks to the Liberian people. You know, they're the most important people, like I've always said. They are indeed, because we find ourselves discussing Liberian issues and, you know, trying to find solutions. But I also like to remind, confirm, reaffirm, reassure that the Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth, and that is not debatable. I think both panelists on there, both panelists on there can relate, and that's a fact.
That's a fact.
They can relate to that. But I want to say also, I want to say thanks to your panelists on there for very beautiful conversation here tonight. You know, I'm very excited. I'm listening, and you know, I think we need things like these to not only retrospect, but we can use these moments to correct, make some amendments, and move forward. You know, as to make some adjustments in whether we select to go this place or select to listen to that or what, because it's important for us to get the right information. What I wanted to add on here tonight is that one of my concerns over the year, having followed all of the different talk shows to some extent, is that I think if people choose to be biased, if people choose to support the government or speak against the government or whatever group you choose to support, my only concern is people get too biased to the point that they forget to be factual and to provide information to the public. Yeah, and I think that's where the disservice is done to the Liberian people. Yes, it becomes more like a propaganda than you know, providing the necessary information that Liberian people need to make an informed decision. I think that's one of the biggest challenges we've had. Another challenge I think we've also had is the coordination of messages, because you know, all these things that all these talk show hosts, it's not just about coming and talking. You know, there has to be a message at the end of the day. Something has to be coordinated. And I say this, you know, I want to go especially to the opposition. One of the problems I found with the opposition in the opposition community is the messages are not coordinated, and that is a problem. We see on the media, we see other people, the messages are coordinated. If people are talking today about George, we have stole 2 million, that's fine. For example, I'm just saying example. This is not a, or they're talking about something happening in the government, say a rape case. You will see that, you know, or the President Trump did this. Every outlet that's in the opposition will talk about it that day. You don't see them talking about, President get girlfriend in Ghana, President went China, then he stole. People don't do that. You get the public confused. So I think coordination is important. But then I also think, you know, there is a disconnect between, you know, I get confused sometimes. The G's that you guys were talking about, the G's, the bloggers, I get confused about this group of people. Those who are G's people and those who are bloggers, you know. And most importantly, one of the things I've noticed too is the inner fights. The inner fights. You know, people now are going after people for ratings. You know, if somebody calls the other group of person or attack the person, they get ratings. You know, and it's just funny. So I think the organization and the coordination has been of a serious challenge for us as a people. But I think we will get there as long as we learn together and we continue to do what is right. But most importantly, I would encourage Liberians, you know, let us promote educational materials. Let us be factual, realistic. Even to the opposition, I will say this: if you are coming off an accusation, like the panelists have said tonight, make sure you get the facts that you provide to us. Don't come here because you don't like this person and you make up stuff. Sometimes it tends to make, when your credibility in the public eye starts to be shaking, it becomes a problem. It does. It becomes a problem over time. And so, you know, I want to say thanks to focus on Liberia, and I hope and pray that you and Dennis Jai, any other person that will be co-hosting here will not exhibit some form of bias. You'll stick to the issues and come with the facts. Because when you guys start to lie, then some of us will definitely point it out as well.
You should.
So what's the name? What's the name? So I forgot.
Who is this? Crystal and Bess Gallo.
Okay, he was on, I think last night. Was he on the show a while ago?
She's on the show right now as you speak. She's following. And Crystal, if you're following, this is Focus on Liberia. If you have concern or disagree with any of the things we are saying here, you can reach out to us and we can find a way to bring you on our show so that you can make clarity. Our goal here is to criticize those of you who are on Facebook. We feel that you are representative of our country, whether or not you are a private citizen, the fact that you are a Liberian, whatever you say or do on Facebook, it has a reflection not only on you, but on all of us as a people. And so we feel that just as we all criticize the government, some of us do openly, some of us do it secretly, you too should make yourself available for criticism. And in the event where you feel that we're not saying anything right, reach out to us. We can find time to bring you on here and you can make a clarification. This is not anything personal, but this is the business of show. And we are going ahead. Mr. Jones, anything? We have 2 callers that I want to bring quickly.
Yeah, real quick. The gentleman that was on who called, what's his name?
Steve Bolle, who just called.
Yeah, was he on one of the shows? I think
Yeah,
yesterday, right?
he's with the
Okay.
the mental health team.
Mental,
Yeah.
excellent job. I just wanted to make some commendation. He did a wonderful job, as you know, all of them.
All right.
So good job again.
Thank you. All right, let's take this caller who's been waiting for so long.
Yeah.
Caller, go ahead. This is Focus on Liberia. Your name and where you joining us from? Yeah,
Hello?
Go ahead. Hello.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
This is Evangeline calling from Iowa, Des Moines.
Go ahead.
Yes. I was listening to my brother, Otavia Gilmore, and some other people I've been hearing in the social media. They always said, be saying Liberians, they ain't doing nothing for the country, or they're not helping people back home, or they're not doing this and doing that. And it really get to me. Reason why? What you have the audacity to tell us that we're not doing something in our country, or just because we're speaking out against the ill that is going in our country, so we're not doing something. Every time, and those that say it the most are the CDC. What you're doing? When you guys were protesting during Ellen time, you were doing something. So nobody should open their mouth to say something that is going on negatively in our country. All the stuff that going on, like 16 billion got missing, 25 million in fuels, we can't see it. The people calling us every day, asking us for help. Our brother and sister then calling us. The diaspora Liberian, we send money to back home since 1990. We've been on this thing. And for you to come on here, every time we say something about our government, if things were good, we will be on our way home. We don't. And another thing they say about children that back home, they're lazy, they don't want to. There's no resources for these children. And every time you people come on these social media, and it's like you're trying to suffocate us from talking. And that really gets to me. Another thing that some of these people, we should be honest with ourselves, that the country, the president, the leader, have divided the country. So it's also we have divided, both in the diaspora and everywhere. Everybody's divided. We should be honest with ourselves. We should know there's division between us. And what I mean by that, we should stop sugarcoating it. We divided. One person is praising George Weah. They are sycophants. George Weah. We on the other side, we're seeing it wrong, and we're saying it, and they don't like it. For example, Michael Gilman, I'm sorry to say, it's a hustler. They're getting paid agent, and they're just there. They know right from wrong, but they will still see the wrong and still be supporting it. So some people like that, I don't listen to them. And it's not like some of these social forums, they are not breaking the right news to us. It's people that don't want to hear it. What is it that is right that George Weah and he stole our 16 billion, or that he fought, he protested for 12 years and then under Ellen regime, then later on have dementia that he doesn't know how to bring war crime court in the country, or is the 25 million that were supposed to be infused that it wasn't, and they share money and say, what is it that Liberian people that people are like, they should bring news. And another thing, someone said the other country, they don't do that. I watch Ghana, they got everything that we have that you mentioned today, shaking table or whatever, they have it. And I just wanted you forgot to mention Sixia Sydney. She's always speaking. I listen to her show, and I listen to Jessica and Jason Jeru has it on her show, Omer Zawi, Francis Doe, all these people, George Lobo, everybody. I just want to tell, we're talking differently, but it's the same thing. Those are the people that are supporting Weah, whether Weah is wrong or not. If things were good in our country, you won't hear people like, it won't be, maybe it won't be Costa for Gilman coming and say, oh, Costa, some guys said they're going, Costa is going to get money. It's not about money. The man is talking for his people, and you want to pull him somewhere. I think you're saying it because Costa is tough on we are, and y'all want somebody that y'all will get away from we are back. And I know Costa is not going to fall for it, and we're going to stand behind him. We are not stupid women. We listen. There are some women who want propaganda and want to argue and stuff and bring drama on the thing. That's different. That's human nature. And one thing that maybe we are shocked of, before then there was no live video and all those things, but social media was going on. I remember Fatikan, the Fatikan brothers, they used to have TMZ, and we used to be on there. It's just that the live video is now new thing and people are seeing it. But these things been going on since 1847, so we shouldn't be surprised. Thank you for your show, and I'm listening.
Anjali, thank you so much for your contribution. Gentlemen, let's do the last one so we can wrap it up here. All right, caller with 3934, it's your turn. Your name and where you joining us from?
Yeah, my name is Bill Kamara, and I use a Facebook profile under your post called Vasiki Sonkumu.
Okay,
and I call from New Jersey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part of the diaspora engagement, and I want to say to all of the panelists, including the host, I want to say thank you. This is one of the shows that I keep following. It's very responsible, very informative, and very organized, and especially with Mr. Koenig who was on. And I my point, Mr. Kula, Dr. Kula, and Mr. Jones. These are all professional people. These are the kind of news and interaction we need to listen to. From the viewer point, Dr. Kula make a salient point, especially when he said full disclosure. Full disclosure in any society plays a cardinal role, especially when it comes to information dissemination and what environment you represent. Now, when people get to know where you represent, like something called confirmation bias, then it protects you. Then the public gets to know who you are, where you speak from, where you represent. Then it doesn't create the kind of conflict of interest. Now, Mr. Coney also said a similar thing, that is unprecedented, which you expect. When Barack Obama delivered a speech in South Africa Parliament, he said, social media might likely turn the war into chaos when people are not careful, because information are unfiltered. Now, countries like Liberia after revolution, we still have a dominant illiteracy rate. It's not like Sao Tome, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Libya, Egypt. This country literacy rate at least 93%, 94%. So after revolution, people got educated, people got literacy, literate, people have some professional behavior competency, people are more moderate in terms of social capital development. But for ours, and it's a gradual process, but people still live in an atmosphere of propaganda. So the negative information flow faster than the reality. And that is what happened in Liberia. Now, you look at your show tonight, maybe you are a maximum of 70-75% viewer. If you are pushing negativity right now, maybe you now hit 500. Maybe if you are pushing profanity, then people want to know, and you're emotional, intelligent, what you're talking about, whether you're against the government. But you've been so neutral, you're balancing it, and people are getting educated. Not many person will be interested in your story right now. So I want to say in this manner that what we need to do is to create a platform to educate the population, like your platform. My kids want to listen to your platform because you are talking about something of economics. We bring Dr. Jones. He talk about economics. He talk about inflation. He talk about capital investment. He talk about foreign direct investment. How can we do to depopulate the urban area? What can we do to attract investment in terms of economic security? I listen to him a lot. He educates the platform. You listen to Dr. Kula, she's talking how can we and come together regardless of our political affiliations? How can we come together to make a society a place of all of us, regardless of what party you come from? And these are things when we listen to this platform, it brings a sense of intelligence. It brings a sense of education. Now, with Mr. Gilman, Octavia Gilman, and in the past 4 years, his maximum viewer is 40, because he's not changing the styles of intellectualism. And when you don't change the style of intellectualism, there's nothing new I'm coming to learn. I'm just seeing the same old thing every day. You talk about protests, and next day you talk about George V. Fate, and next day you talk about, oh, this is an ethnic group. So because it's not informing me of what I should do or what should be done in terms of finding solutions, I can listen to him. And, but I also appreciate him because he's one of the young persons who's contributing back home. I'm one of the beneficiaries. One time I call on his shows and he has some kind of game and I won it, and he get an award of $100 scholarship to somebody who reside in my district in my 12th, and he make that $100 available, and I took it to Liberia and gave it to him. So Octavia Gilman is doing well. But one thing I want to advise him, when you are a philanthropist, your intent is to give to society. But whatever comes as a reward, you don't boast of it, because once you boast of it, you devalue your charitable giving. I give to Mr. Jones. Then tomorrow you go on the show, yes, I give to Mr. Jones. Then you politicize the giving. That's political philanthropism. You give I expect a reward maybe today or tomorrow. But in a very charitable way, you wouldn't do it. Maybe in your full disclosure or your 990 form, if you want to do a tax exempt or tax deductible, you talk about it. So I want to appreciate it, but don't come on the show and just tell other people that what are you doing? This platform is contributing a lot, especially with the women engagement, the last time with the men engagement, professional people come on the platform. That is long, it's educative, it's informative, and it is a platform that we all need to engage and support. And with the rest of the other guys, like, Classic D, all these people, like something that Akula also stressed on, survivability. In the Darwin story, he said, survivability, the survival of the fittest. And, there's too many human capital in America, in the diaspora. We are a lot. People who supported the political revolution went home, they could not get a job, they returned. Now they have to go on the other side to go against the same government that they told us that this is the best, would be the best, and they put a neck on the line. But because you did not get what you wanted yesterday, now you turn to the opposition. I can't trust you no more. You got to be a part of this movement to prove to me in 12 years that you told me that this government will be the government of the people, for the people. So in less than 12 months, you turn to opposition, I can trust you. So many of the guys you see now, they are just waiting for a phone call. So they are using this medium because the president also is saying somebody who loves the social media. And the social media is interconnected, connected even with the executive mansion now. And the electronic media is taking the airwave of the traditional media. So nobody buying newspaper to read no more. People are on the podcasts, the radios, and listening. What is the G's and what is the best news? So the president himself is a social media fanatic. So he listens to all of the news. That's how he's struggling for Fakir. He's struggling everybody. So we all are getting news from the social media. So as a matter of fact, we are in the diaspora. We are using the social media to kill our time at work. So when you're very bored, you come on right now, focus on Liberia, you spend 3 hours, your 3 hour time going to work. By 5:30 in the morning, you grab Costa take you to 8 o'clock, you go home. The next thing you come, maybe, the next thing you come on Prophet Key take you to 4 o'clock. So it is even killing our time, which we value a lot, than when we are bored to work. Now, what is most important is that when people are in this kind of atmosphere, it is only poor people that suffer. The poor people suffer because many of our people who do not have access to data, the little time they have access to it is to listen to you. So your 1 hour being on social media, if you are not saying nothing good, they get glued to you because they say anything come from America is the best. That's how you see our people are indoctrinated. Our people are put in an environment that do not choose the rightful choice at the appropriate time. Because many of who they depend on to give them the rightful information are covertly giving them the wrongful information. And that is what happened in our country. The economic downward of our country is covertly affected with the American population, the Liberian diaspora. Who is corrupting Liberia right now? The diaspora. Many of our people corruption that is taking place are from the diaspora. Ministry of Commerce from the diaspora, Ministry of Finance from the diaspora, National Authority from the diaspora. And most of them went in and even ran for legislative position they wanted. Everything they said they would do, they could not have done it. It's just a poor man directly along who said your costs are recorded. But I can name you 10 persons who came from the diaspora who are in the house. But Fatima is in the house. Who else again? I can name 10. They all came from the diaspora. But yet, change has not been effective to the people of Liberia.
My dear brother, we want to thank you for your very, very valuable contribution. We're happy that you continue to follow our show. You can reach us here at Focus on Liberia always to see how best we can change the narrative. You said it all. If people are listening, it should be something educative. That's how we can transform our society. The negativity will not help us. All these platforms, they will put out information that are factual. They should communicate in a way that is representative of us as a people, our values, our beliefs. All right, they should not communicate things like insult, like Prophet Key does. And that is why we organize a Periscope series to go after the talk show hosts. They carry a lot of power. Thousands and thousands of Liberians listen to them. Why are they feeling that way? Negativity, balanced information, information that will help them to make a good decision to improve ourselves as a people. Is that what we're doing? So yeah, I focus on Liberia. This is what we do. We educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia in a more responsible and positive manner. I will go to my panelists for their conclusion. Let's start with you, Dr. Kula. Please conclude, give a summary of how these people should be able to conduct themselves on their platforms.
Goodbye. Interrupting here. I think you've summed it up. The last caller summed it up, and Gilman also made some valid points. So I'll just sum it up for me as far as where I see all of these players. Social media can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. But like with everything that we Liberians touch, we always tend to put our own little spin on it. Before we had Facebook Live, every Liberian or most Liberians belonged to some Facebook forum, whether be it discussing Liberia, TMZ Liberia International, the Liberian Electoral College, the entertainment ones and whatnot. And in those forums, we operated like Liberians, very immature, insulting each other, tearing each other down, fussing, so on and so forth. Then we had the Facebook Live forums and webcasts that are supposed to educate our people, inform our people, entertain our people. They lean heavily political. A lot of the casts, the webcasts lean heavily political. And in these webcasts, instead of most of these guys being objective, we ended up having a situation where everyone is very partisan, everyone has an agenda, everyone pushes more or less propaganda. Now, I spoke to some higher ups in the government, and for whatever reason, these guys believe that what's going on in cyberspace with the various groups, the opposition, anti-government, the pro-government, the ones in the middle, they actually believe that their money is well spent with the pro-government guys, and that's how they want to fight this battle of either their PR or running the country. And I submit to you all listening to me, including the government officials that are listening, that you cannot run a government through propaganda. I don't care how Michael Gilman sounds convincing. I don't care how good he is. I don't care what research he does. You cannot run a government through propaganda because the people see the reality of what's on the ground. So Michael Gilman can come all day long and tell them, oh, this government came in and they only met $7 million in the bank. Ellen government did this and Ellen government did that. And they just came, they're struggling, they can't change everything. You can say that all day. But the reality is, when the president is riding a private jet that costs $17,000 an hour, when he's living as if we don't have an economic problem, it'll cause the people to look at him differently and look at the government differently. When you have one scandal after another, I don't care how much you spin it, the people will start to ask questions, and rightfully so. So to sum up, our Facebook forums need to get it together. Let's stop being so partisan. Let's stop being so personal. Let's stop being so selfish and thinking only about ourselves. And let's think more about the country. What is good for the country? Not what is good for George Weah, not what is good for CDC, not what is good for Omer Boycott, not what is good for ANC or Cummings. What is good for Liberia? Let's call a spade a spade. If the economy is bad, we should all be able to watch every podcast, and everybody should be able to talk about the bad economy and how we can fix it. If the government does something right, we should all be able to talk about the right that the government did and how that's going to impact the country. Like the young man said, messaging has to be on point with the opposition. Also, messaging has to be on point with the government. Your information minister can't be saying one thing, Eugene Fallon saying another thing, Michael Gilman saying another thing, and then this other person saying another thing. It's chaos all over the place. I was saddened by the fact that people on Michael Gilman's show were rejoicing and acting as if a warlord had been captured when Henry Costa was in prison or caught in Sierra Leone. A lady even was crying as if to say, you know, it brought her back memories about the war and what the people did to her during the war. And I'm thinking to myself, is this how much damage this boy has done to put in the people's mind? Because he called Costa a terrorist. Put in the people's mind that this man is somehow a warlord that's bringing war to the country to the point where this woman is having a panic attack. We can't do that. We can't do that. We're going to destroy our country. Not only that, we're going to destroy our president. We can't be sending the president messages that he should go after his critics. We can't do that. It's wrong. So all of us who are on platforms that are more objective, we need to speak up, and we need to keep speaking up. Don't let anybody shut you down. That's my conclusion. God bless you. It was a great show. Thank you.
Dr. Kula Ragdad, one of the chief policy analysts here at Focus on Liberia. We will go to our Business and Economic Forum editor, Mr. Chuchu Jun, your closing.
Thank you. I'll make it quick here. So I just want to share this with you. They said that most times in Liberia, we hear that what we're doing in America. So this is a report here that I just pulled up, and that's the amount of money that we sent to Liberia, $433 million, representing 31% of the gross domestic product in 2008 alone, according to the World Bank.
Wow.
So the next some stupid person in Liberia tell you, you're sitting down in America, why don't you come to Liberia to help? Tell that person, say, if I come, then where will this money come from? So that's one I want to share. So that's ignorance again. Hopefully we'll learn from this and we'll pick that up. I want to share another real quick data here. Again, this is Liberia, okay? This is our latest information. So again, people say that, I mean, like the brother just said, Doc just claimed that you cannot talk your way out of certain things. Okay, you cannot go and propaganda would lead you nowhere. You see here, this is Zimbabwe. This is Liberia. The interest rate in Liberia is 30%, the second highest in Africa. And we know all the other countries, Sudan, Sierra Leone, what have you. Okay? The inflation rate as of today is 30%. Okay, if this doesn't scare anybody, you got inflation rate here in Ghana, 7%. Let's go to some horrible countries here. Look at Mozambique, 3%, right? Look at Madagascar, 4%. So our situation is dire. And, people that you can, the government, the time they're spending behind, propaganda, and I will hold the government responsible because the government is the only entity that is responsible to manage our economy, grow our jobs, right, and give us opportunity or the environment. Not Henry Carter, not Unity Party, at least not anyone, these other party. Government is responsible. And if you don't take care of your responsibility and you spend all your time behind eating nonsense out there, who's doing what, all these propagandists, it's not going to help you. It's not going to reduce interest rate. Our interest rate should be 5-6%. That means, and I will close with this. Let's assume, as here, I think the GDP up to 1%. Theoretically, if Liberia GDP was 20% today, okay, all right, 20%, it would take us probably another 20 to 30 years before we even catch up with a country like Burkina Faso, because we only 500 million. We have a serious, dire problem in Liberia, and people are taking this for jokes. So I hope the brother who talked again, I hope you come back on, take my number, Sony, if he calls, give me my number, because he was very intelligent and he gives a lot of good points, and we need people like that. And lastly, we don't have to be the biggest. I remember when we started, we don't have to be the biggest. We just have to be the most objective and giving everybody the platform to come. I don't know, I never met Dr. Kula or Asuni Fairway, but we look for ideas. What are you? Gilman has been here. That is welcome. In a talk show, you're welcome. Come any day, just let us know you want to come, and you can have the platform, and you can. The only difference is that you will be critiqued. That's not going to go away. If you're a public figure, all right, you're a political party, you're going to be critiqued. You're going to be written about. Your grandchildren are going to see your name somewhere, your picture somewhere, on what you've done. So make sure that whatever you do it with care, remembering that this government will not last forever. And the next one will not last forever. And so God bless you all. And it was a pleasure. Asoni, you're doing a very great job. And Dr. Kula, Dennis, and all the crew here, we work very, very hard to put all these shows together. And many times people think that we just here for the entertainment. We're here to build a platform for the Liberian people so that they can share ideas. We can learn. I can learn from you. You can learn from the callers that the gentleman who said, I'm reaching out to him, So again, keep supporting us, and we'll do our best to make this the most objective platform in media in Liberia.
Thank you. And so, folks, in cyberspace, to our followers, to our viewers, we want to thank you for spending your time with us. This is how we come to the close of our broadcast on the Hour of Politics on this network focused on Liberia. Chuchu Jones have been analyzing. Our chief analyst, Dr. Kula, also has been analyzing, and I have been your humble host. We are in a week of Martin Luther King, so we're going to leave you with this as we close.
Good night, guys.
So guys, bye-bye. This one becomes true about Liberia. We want freedom to reign.
There you go. I gotta listen to that.
You gotta.
Well, a decent mountain, let freedom ring. All right, folks, that's how we'll do it. And bye-bye.